Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the King Kong Trail. I am Doug Vandiver, sitting next to Amy. I got my buttons back.
You got your buttons back.
I know which one to push.
Well, it's because I made you push the wrong buttons last time because I messed you all up.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
you did.
But I like to keep you on your toes because, I can't have you have a boring life.
It's not boring.
Okay. Yes. Mission
so
accomplished. We have a very special group in the studio today I'm very excited about.
Yes.
And I first learned a little bit about this group during Farmers Market. And, we love Farmers Market. We love going down there and the produce and the music and just the whole vibe of Jefferson Street. We have an amazing city, an amazing Farmers Market. But there was this one group, and it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, I was just going to say Farmers Market is the one place where we bring our kids down.
They ditch us.
And they do like 3 laps, up and down, up and down, up and down. And we got about a quarter way through because we're like, hey, how you doing? And we stop and talk and hey. And yeah, so it's sad that it's seasonal.
I know, and it's gone already for the year.
Yeah.
But the friends that you make during Farmers Market and the new people that you meet, you bring them on the podcast. So it's like Farmers Market all year round.
There you go.
All right. And we have a very special group in, and I've seen them a couple times down at Farmers Market. Not every single week that we were down there, but it's a nonprofit that works with foster and adoption. And I think that is so needed, the mission that they're doing. And I'm very excited to have Kami Jud is the person I met down there, and she has brought Liz Estilow. Estilow?
Estilow. Don't make it fancy.
Close.
Everybody makes it fancy. It is not.
Okay. And you are the director, or?
I wish. I don't have a title like that.
You don't have a title?
I'm the recruiter.
Recruiter.
And retention
Okay.
coordinator.
Okay, so you do have a cool title.
Well, I mean, I do, but I'm not a director.
Okay. You direct people to this
Yeah.
stuff.
So I cover all of eastern Iowa. So I got a pretty large territory.
Okay.
Minnesota to Missouri.
Gotcha. And you guys are with Four Oaks Foster and Adoption.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about how both of you got involved in this organization?
For me, I actually run a nonprofit for foster care kids. I'm from Clinton, so I'm a little north, and my supervisor at the time had heard about my nonprofit and kind of just said, "Hey, do you want to work for us too? You kind of both your worlds will combine." I said, "Sure." So so I've been here a little over 4 years, almost 5 years now.
Okay.
That I've been with Four Oaks.
Okay.
So I worked on the other side when I worked with bio families, and now I'm on the other side that I'm working with foster families, but always working for kids, always advocating for the kids in care and the kids that need us to make sure that they're doing okay.
Very cool. Very cool. So they saw you and they're like, aha, join our team.
Pretty much she did. She called, which I'm very happy. I didn't even know Four Oaks existed. I mean, I really didn't. So I had always worked on the other side and working with bio families. So it was, she had reached out and I interviewed and here we are.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you with us.
I appreciate
and Kami,
Yeah.
how did you start in with Four Oaks?
So I'm actually from this area, born and raised. I was born in Middletown, graduated from Mediapolis, and went to college and then moved back after got married. So I got into foster care. I had originally started out, I've been in the child welfare field for about 16 years now.
Okay.
I started at Four Oaks about 6-7 years ago. And I started out doing licensing and support, and then moved on to supervisor.
Yeah, she's got a higher title than I do.
So I've been connected. Me and my family are very connected to the area. My family's all around here. Very passionate about this area. So
Very cool. Very cool.
As well as we are.
With the foster care, you said 6 years. Has Four Oaks been in this area for that long?
Yeah, well, we're on our contract. It's a 6-year contract. This is our second contract.
Yeah.
So this is with this new contract that we had, which we're probably 2.5 years into. Don't quote me on the years, but we took
Don't
off.
quote you.
Yeah, I know. Don't, yeah, it's like, we took over all 99 counties in Iowa. So
wow.
we had gained with the new contract, we had gained the western part of. We've always been on the eastern side and middle, but we gained the western part of Iowa too. So now that we cover all of Iowa.
Okay, so when you say that you got the contract for all 99 counties, what exactly did you get the contract for?
We got the contract through HHS, which is
Okay.
the Department of Human and Health Services.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that decide who are the partnering agencies for foster care and adoption. And so, you do a good job and you do your job well, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get your contract renewed. So that's kind of the thing. And they give us quotas and what we need to do and all that good stuff. But like I said, we had the eastern part in central Iowa, but then we gained
Okay.
the western part.
Okay, because at Farmers Market, that's the first I've heard of about Four Oaks.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk. It's hard to get your name out there. Like I will be all honest. Nobody wants to talk about foster care. It's hard. It's sad. People just don't want to think about it. I run a nonprofit up north, and on my Facebook page, I will, when we give out one of our duffel bags, I'll be like, hey, this child went in care in this county, and people are constantly, I had no idea this many kids go into foster care. I had no idea that, you placed this many kids. So it's one of those topics people don't want to think about. It's a hard topic. It comes with trauma. It comes with pain, and you don't want to think about kids in need.
Right.
So it's just one of those things of us getting our word out, getting our name out of who we are, what we do, and to let people and businesses and churches and community groups know that our need is critical. We need foster homes.
How many kids in Des Moines County are needing foster homes now? Do you have a
So
guesstimate?
yeah, I actually had numbers pulled for
I've
this.
got it memorized.
Do you? Okay, well then there you go. You go right ahead.
I'm seeing if I'm right though. Where are you at? Oh, my number
Just-
was a little higher.
Just in Des Moines County. So
Yeah.
this is So go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. So we put in. So are these last year's numbers?
These were the numbers that Ellen pulled for me today.
Today. Okay. So are these of this year? I wonder. I'm just looking at that. So we have roughly 24 kids that went into care in Des Moines County. So, and I would say we roughly have 50% of that in foster homes.
Yeah. So 11
have-
homes.
So we have
available to take children.
So we have 24 kids that needed care and 11 foster homes that were able to take those kids. But with that said, of those 11 homes, not all of them are open. Some of them are on hold. Some of them are full. Some of them are on the way for adoption so that they're not taking any more kiddos.
Right.
And as a foster parent, you can pick and choose what child or children come in your home. So if you're really good with babies and toddlers, that's all you want. But out of those 24 kids, none of them were babies or toddlers. So that means no homes were open for, teenagers or sibling teams. So even with 11 homes and the 24 kids, we're still below a 50% mark. And then, like I said, we want to match up kiddos with the right home too.
Right. That's super important.
It is, because everybody has, I think, their niche of who they parent and want to parent. I've got a household of teenagers right now, and it takes a special person to parent teenagers. I'm a bio mom, I'm an adoptive mom, and then I also have, I'm in kinship care. I'm also raising my nephew who was placed with me 6 years ago. And they're all three different personalities, and they all three have their own traumas. So, it does take a special person to take care of those teenagers. But, and we want you, when you become a foster parent, to pick and choose what you feel comfortable with, I don't know if I could do a baby again. I don't know. How's that going, Kami?
It's great.
She's on the other spectrum of ages of children.
So I'm a mother of 6. So my oldest is 11, and I just got back from maternity leave with my 6th. So and she is 4 months old now. So
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's
She's
great. Wouldn't change it
adorable.
for anything. Thank you.
So when you say that you have 24 children and only 11 places, what happens with those others?
And that's a sad part is, kids never want to leave bio families. They never,
Right.
no matter what. Like I said, I can use my nephew as an example. He has not seen or heard from his mother in the 6.5 years he's been placed with me. She's made no contact. But I can tell you, if she showed up tomorrow, he's 15 years old, was 4'2", I think, when I got him. He's 6'2" right now, would go running into her arms. Kids always want to be with bio families. The sad thing is, if we don't have foster homes within their community, not only are they taken away from bio families, they're taken away from neighborhoods, from school districts, from sports, from girlfriend and boyfriend, from friends, from everything that they know. And they'll be placed 2 or 3 hours west of us. I mean, they'll be placed across the state of Iowa, no matter where we can find them a home. And that adds to their trauma. That adds to, the courts will order them to see bio family so many visits a week. Well, if you're 2.5 hours away from birth mom and birth dad, birth mom and birth dad may or may not have a car that can drive that far or be able to take that time off of work to get to them. They're not seeing them maybe twice a month. It just really depends. I mean, they can text and video chat and stuff, but nothing replaces face-to-face contact and touching mom and dad.
That is true. I mean, just with social media and everything like that, people have access to have that connection, but they've even done studies where, just having your friends or your family or your connections all in two-dimensional, you don't get the depth of
No.
that. So
I can say even off my teenagers and their social media, they don't know how to read body cues. Because they're just so used to just that whatever fits on this little screen.
Right.
Like they have a hard time understanding body cues, and like that person was really not happy with you. Well, what do you mean? I didn't see anything.
Right.
So yeah. So if you take a young child that's not able, 2 or 3 or 4-year-old that can't snuggle up to mom and smell mom and touch mom. I mean that's hard. So that is why, and what drives us to make sure that we let people know that we need foster homes. We need foster homes here in Des Moines County so our kids stay here. They stay in the communities they know. They get to stay in their school systems. That helps them. And that way they get to see mom and dad. And that has to help mom and dad, too, get healthy again. They're accountable.
So do you have, I know that you're geared towards the, foster care and finding a place for the kiddos. Does your program do anything with the parents also, or is that a different group that would do something like that, like any peer counseling or anything like that?
I feel like I'm talking.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, there are other agencies. Families First is a good one by me. I'm assuming you have Families First down
Yes,
here
Families
also.
First, they do.
And they will work with the bio families. So
Okay.
they'll, whatever the judge orders or HHS requires, whether it's counseling, mental health, anger management, anything when it comes to that, whatever classes they need to take, that agency will line the parents up to make sure that they're reaching their goals. And so
Okay.
that, again, we are a foster to reunify state. So our goal is to get those kids back at home. Does not always happen,
Right.
but that is our goal. As long as a case is open, we are striving to get those kids to a healthy mom and dad.
Okay, that's great because there's so many barriers to thinking, even beginning to think and process. Can we become a foster care site? What are some of the big things that you see that people that stop people who would be able to foster if they had the room and if they had the money and they had but what do you think that holds people back?
I personally think it's a lack of awareness. I think that if more people were aware of the need that there is, the huge need in this area. I mean, like we said, there's 24 kids. That doesn't seem like a lot. 24 doesn't seem like a lot. But if you're talking, that's 2 a year. Or, I'm sorry, 2 a month, excuse me. And when there's only 11 homes, I think if more people are aware that this is happening in the streets around us and the area, in our communities, and the town that we live in, I think that a lot more people might be willing to see the need and see, hey, I can help out. Even it is a temporary, like we said, foster to reunify. We were wanting those kids to go home. So if a family's able to open their home for, a few months to just love on that kid and be a support for that family, I think awareness is a huge piece of that.
And I think I hear a lot is, I don't want to get attached. I'll get too attached. And we need you to get attached. These kids need you to get attached. We don't have huge villages like we used to have. We don't have grandparents and aunts and uncles and all these supports going on. So for you as a foster parent to get attached, that's an extra support for that child. And we have foster parents after foster parents, even after the child goes home, stays connected with these kids. It's nothing for bio family to reach out to foster family, be like, hey, I'm having this issue. Can you help me out on this? Hey, what worked for you when you had them in your home? Because I'm really struggling right now. And it's expanding our families, our family units. And I think some people are just like, I'm okay with my little world right here.
Right.
So it's teaching people it's okay to get attached because these kids need for us to get attached to them.
That's I think that's a big part of it. I've worked in long-term care, and there was a professional distance type of thing, and I always thought how sad. In our home, we didn't talk about that as much because we wanted that people to have that connection with the people that were living there, because they may have been the only family members, friends, and you become family members with people, and people need connection. They need that, and we are so separate in today's society. We don't know our neighbors. We don't know our people across the street. We don't know people that we shop with, and they might look familiar because we see them every week at the store, but we don't reach across and say, hey, my name's Amy. How are you doing? I see you here all the time. I'm a weirdo. I kind of do that sometimes. And,
I do. My kids hate me because I do that. I talk to anybody. I will talk to my kid, my mom, stop. Mom, I want, yeah. But it is because there are, especially our older generation, they're lonely. And for you to stop for 5 minutes at Aldi's and talk to them, you've made their day. So, yeah.
And if you've heard that story that they tell you the first time 500 times, at least you know what's coming.
The ending.
But it is. And I think social media has really been a downfall in society.
Yes.
Of just communicating and how to communicate and talking to a real person and picking up the phone and not just texting, and that. And I think COVID was hard. We lost over half of our families from COVID, and we still haven't 5 years later, are we 5 years out from COVID? We haven't gained that number back yet. So, people are more, I think, isolated in their worlds. And I think you can see that anywhere, just, again, who are your neighbors? Do you know your neighbors? So it's one of those things of getting out of your comfort zone and, and opening your doors. And the average stay in foster care is 6 months to a year.
Okay.
But that 6 months to a year, you can love on a kiddo and help support that child or that sibling team. Because sometimes our kids come in large numbers when they come into care.
Right.
And so if you got a big house and you got 2 or 3 bedrooms, we can fill that with 5 or 6 kids, because they come in sibling teams, and it is our goal to keep them together because some of those kids, that's all they know. And that's all they're going to think about is, where's brother and sister, or they've kind of been raising some of them for a while. And so if we can keep them together too.
When you said that, it reminds me of a story, and the stories that you see on social media, you don't know if it's true or not, but it was about a child who was in foster care or newly adopted and wanted to eat ramen raw because that's the way they cooked it for their little brothers. They just thought that that's how you did it, and it's being able to keep siblings together. I think that would be great, because it is a lot of times I would imagine that the older siblings are looking after younger siblings because they have that that's their little brother, that's their little sister.
Also can be trauma bonded too. So
Very much so.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what trauma bonded would be?
Experiencing trauma together, so then it just forms a connection, and
It's very sad. Like it's just sad when we have to break up sibling teams.
for sure.
Especially, older ones and the little ones, because the little ones reach out. That's all they know. That's all, the smells and the personalities. And older ones want to, like, don't do that to my, sister, whatever. That's not going to work for them. They know what works and what doesn't work. So it is keeping them together. But again, sometimes the sibling teams, the numbers are quite large, and when we break them up, we really try to keep 2 or 3 of them together.
Yeah.
So there's
We're
not
talking
one.
like 5 or 6 siblings. removed at a time,
Sometimes,
and
there are some large sibling groups that do get removed, and I know
we have a
folks.
lot in this area. A lot of sibling groups that get.
Yeah, and we do our
work in this
best to
area.
try to
We do.
put them together, and if they have to be divided, to divide them, and I know there's conversation usually with the oldest one of, okay, who can go with who and who's best with who, so that they keep their supports.
Gotcha. So for the child in foster care, or the beginning processes of adoption, and especially as a child who's gone through a lot of trauma, what happens when they're in a home? Are they able to get help, mental help?
Absolutely.
So what would that look like?
Once a child is removed from bio family, they automatically get Medicaid. So
Okay.
they are covered by state insurance. So that, and usually that's a part of their care plan is, when was the last time they went to the doctor? We need to get them into the doctor. Have they had their eyes checked? Have they had dental work? What's their mental health like? So those are appointments that usually happen right off the bat. Let's get these things done and get them. And like, I can use my nephew. He's been in therapy since I've had him from day one, and he is still in therapy on a weekly basis. He doesn't remember any of his childhood. And so my goal is, when those memories start coming back, I want to be prepared. He's 6'1", 185 pounds, size 13 and a half shoe right now. He's a big kid. And he has no memory of childhood at all. So, therapy is very important. And those are things, like I said, with the Medicaid, that it's covered, that foster families would not financially be out any money. The younger ones will do play therapy. We make sure that they get those services that they need. And we also offer a lot of trainings too. Foster parents have to get 6 hours of continuous training through the year to keep their license up. And Four Oaks offers tons of trainings in person, face-to-face, Zoom. And if you want to learn something, we will find you a training that you will learn from, that you want to, get better. Whether it's like, if you've got an autistic child and you want to learn more, we can find you those trainings to make sure that you feel like you're educated.
Nice.
Okay. Now, we haven't been in the foster system, but Amy and I have had a homeless kid with us as he finished his last 6 months of school. And I know that just doing that, I know, he speaks big praise, about the impact we had on his life. And so, when I'm hearing the need for families and how, what am I trying to say? The importance of having somebody there to love on them is huge. And can you talk a little bit more about some of the impacts that you've seen? Have you got any success stories? Because I think, when we talk about foster care, sometimes the mind goes to the negative side of it. And so, I know there's some, there's got to be some good stories that could encourage people.
Yeah, so I did a recruitment event a couple weeks ago, and one of our foster families, I'm sure she wouldn't care, I'm not going to share specifics, but she did have a child that was placed in her home, and she said it was very challenging placement, very challenging. Are we helping this kid long term? And then she said that she, he was in their home and then he was reunified, or he went to a different placement. And then she said she ran into him now, 5 years later or something, several years later, and he talked about just the huge impact that they had in his life, and just remembering specific details and things like that. And so she just felt like, wow, I thought that was, he was not loving anything about us, and here it ended up being like a huge thing for him. So
Right.
after all these years, you remember them, and you remember specific things. And
I'm not even going to give you names, because I don't know who their names are, because I just can see their faces though. But I know they're a foster family down south, and they travel up mid-north during the holidays to go visit their foster kids that they had that went back to bio. So they're there for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They go up there and see those kids. So there are connections, and we've got a lot of kids that, bio parents don't get healthy, unfortunately. And then those kids their parental rights are terminated, and those kids are up for adoption. And we've got loads of foster families. We lose a lot of foster families because they adopt, and then they get full. And then those kids find their forever homes or forever families. And that's wonderful. But we see it a lot, that foster families will connect with bio families, and they reach out after the fact, and they stay connected. So like I said, we're building their village, because you have to think some of these kids that don't have families, and if they get out of foster care without establishing that bond of a family, those holidays and stuff, how scary would it be if you didn't have family to go to or whatnot? So kids need connection. They need those villages, so they have someone to come back to. And we have foster families that do that all the time with our kids, that they'll come back, and they get to come back, and they open arms, and it's great. And it's not all perfect by any means.
Right.
There's always trauma. There's always behaviors that come out in weird ways. They're going through grown-up trauma, and their little brains can't figure it out. Us as adults have a hard time mentally processing what's going on. I mean, they can't. They don't have the maturity to deal with it. So, there are things that come out in behaviors, and, and there's just a lot of grace given, a big sense of humor you have to have. And you do. I mean, I know when I got my nephew, he carved his name in everything. I have a 150-year-old wooden door that has his name forever marked, and he carved it in the toilet seat. He carved it in my new bathroom cabinet. It was just his thing. He grew out of it. But it was just, it was a weird behavior, and I don't know where it came from. It just showed up one day. It lasted for about 6 months, and, it's gone. And every time he walks past that, he'll be like, I don't know why I did that, but I remember doing it, So it's just one of those things. Their little brains are processing a lot. So we have to show them some grace, and we have to show them some love, because, they're going through big adult problems that they didn't ask for, and they didn't do anything to get.
I do an onboarding with new staff when we get new staff in, and I'm a health coordinator, and one of the things that I talk about when I have new staff is ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences, and I bring it up in a little bit because the kiddos that we have where I work. May have different behaviors, may have different things. And this could be kiddos anywhere, because, I mean, you don't know the situations of the homes that our kids come from. But I tell them, I talk about it a little bit, because, there's that study done, and ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, that's the homelessness, that's the sexual abuse, that's, just regular abuse, that's all the big things that should never happen, but we live in the world we live in. And so children are faced with things that they should never have. And they did this study, and I'm sure you guys know about the study, where I can't remember how many, like 6 ACEs is a huge number. I can't remember the exact number. I'm just going to make it up. This is my podcast. But this group of kids survived and thrived as adults, and this group struggled as adults, and they wanted to know what the difference was. Why did this group, what made them successful, and why did this group, what happened that they weren't able to find that success? And in that study, they found that there was one caring adult at the time that the kids were going through all the things that they were going through. And so I tell the staff as they're going through, people may say, oh, that's cute, you're watching kids, or, I could never do that, different things like that. But you never know at the time that we have kids in the classroom, you don't know if you are that one caring adult when the kids are going through horrendous things children should never go through. You could be the person that puts them on the trajectory of success as an adult, years down. You don't see it the next day. You don't see it the next year, but years down the road because you made a difference in their life. And I think that's kind of what you guys are talking about, because kids are going through, if they're in foster care, they've gone through something, whether it's, you know, a parent that can't take care of them, or maybe a parent who's passed away. And, you know, it's not just parents that would, you know, not be able to at that point parent as well as they want to, but it may be, you know, they may be sick. And there's so many different things that could happen. So
there's so many situations that put kids into foster care. I mean, there's no black and white in the foster care world. It's every shade of gray, and that's so true, because it doesn't, you know, because there are people that do pass away, and then they don't have wills, and they don't have family, or you know, or there's an aunt, but she's a couple states away, you know, and it's just one of those things that kids will go into care for a while until we can, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that, you know, kids have to enter foster care.
So they've entered foster care. You guys are looking for homes. How does one become a foster parent?
All right. So they would go online to.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Oh. The first thing you do is visit iowafosterandadoption.org. That is our website. And then you will register to go for an orientation class. We host them every Wednesday and Sunday nights at 8:00, every first and third Thursdays at noon.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
then.
we try to get all, and if you reach out to me and that time doesn't work, I've sat in coffee houses and done orientations. I've sat in churches and done orientations. I've done women's group and we'll do them anywhere. And it's an hour-long class, but it really kind of just goes over some of the qualifications. It kind of talks about the people that you'll meet, who's your caseworker, who's the child's caseworker, you know, what role do they play? We talk about foster care, we talk about adoption. So you'll register for one of those classes, and then you can ask tons of questions too. Well, you know, we might not be able to give you the exact answer, but we'll shoot you in the right direction. Once you do that, we'll send you back to www.iowafosterandadoption.org. You'll fill out a small inquiry online, kind of name, email address, kind of your house address and stuff like that. We'll email you, though, after that, the large packet that you need to fill out. It has to be printed out. So if you can't print it out, we'll mail it to you in physical mail. HHS requires a physical signature because it will include a background check.
Okay.
So once
that
you
makes
get
sense.
once you get that all, hopefully someday will be electronic, but right now it's still pen and paper. Once you get that filled out and send it back to us, we will run your background checks, make sure everything comes back okay. You can have some hiccups on your background. We just require you to kind of explain what that might have been.
That's fair. That's super fair.
You could have, a DUI that you had in your early 20s. Well, what happened? I was in my 20s. I wasn't thinking correctly.
I was a dork.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking correctly. And then you just have to write, it never happened again. I paid my restitution, and that's, HHS is the one, though, that will look at that hiccup on your background check to make sure you can move forward.
Okay.
Once all that's received, background checks come back, we'll get you in class. HHS requires 33 hours of class. We hold them down here in Burlington. And so
about every quarter we have a class that goes on.
Okay.
And it's 11 weeks long. They meet one night a week, typically from 6 to 9 at night. But we've done Sunday afternoon classes.
2 to 5 earlier afternoon.
Yep. So we just, and then it's 11 weeks. Seems like forever, but it goes really fast. And there's a lot of information. We talk about alternative means of discipline. We talk about behaviors, working
with birth families, because I think that's a lot of first-time foster families, intimidation, scary thought. It's how am I going to work with these birth families? So we definitely cover a lot of that. We talk about trauma.
Yep. And then you get your CPR. You need to have CPR. We've got classes here we hold all the time if you don't have it. That is the only expense you'll have. It's $50 per person. And that's what the American Red Cross charges us. However, we do have
reimbursement.
Yeah, grants. If you can't afford it, if that's your only, if that's your only obstacle, we'll help you with that.
And if you get licensed, you get reimbursed for that $50 too.
Yep. Oh, okay. And then you have to get your child mandatory reporting. Child
dependent adult and child abuse.
not adult. It's just child. child mandatory, reporting, and that's free. And then if you have those, if you're a teacher, nurse, you already have those. We just need to see your license. And then once you get all that done, we submit that. HHS will do a home study, but you get an awesome caseworker from Four Oaks that will come to your house and they will make sure that home study is done correctly. There are some rules when it comes to like ponds and lakes and wells and that kind of stuff. So they make sure that, everything's okay with that.
It doesn't prohibit you from being licensed. So we'll
Absolutely not.
Yeah, your licensing worker will just come in and work on a safety plan to make sure that that child is not at risk. How are you going to supervise that child with that pool and things like that?
Yeah.
Yep. And create a safety plan with that.
Yep. So. And then you get all that done. We submit it. You become licensed. You get a phone call like the next day for a child placement. I'm just joking, but it seems like that. I've got a family up in Clinton that just graduated, but their home study is not going to be done until October, and I already had a child for them. I'm like, hurry up and get them because I got a placement. So, like I said, and then once you become licensed, you have to get 6 hours of training every year, but we give you ample opportunities for training that, to do it. When you do get a phone call, and you will get phone calls right away, some faster than others. Know again what kind of child you want to parent. Talk to if you don't have to be married, you can be cohabitating, you can be single, but know what kind of child that you're willing to take into your home. If you only got girls, you may only want to foster girls. If you've got a house full of boys, throwing a girl in there is going to really, it's like, what do I do now?
Right.
And then when you do get that phone call and if it's not a child that you feel comfortable parenting or supporting, just say no. There's no consequence. We will definitely call you the next time a child comes up for placement. And then, like I said, you do your 6 hours or your 6 hours a year, and you're golden. We're here to support you. You get a caseworker from Four Oaks that will meet with you often and make sure that you got any questions. We have the mentors also, which are seasoned foster parents we can hook you up with.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So if you're especially if you're a new parent, maybe you've never parented before, we can hook you up with a mentor that will answer all those questions. So you feel like you think you got a stupid question, it's not stupid. And and if you don't want to ask us, but you feel way more comfortable just asking another foster, well, we can hook you up that way. We also need respite families. So when a foster family has to go on vacation, not just dinner. If you want to go out for dinner, movie, you can use a babysitter. You got a trusted babysitter, that's not a big deal. But if it's overnight or longer, you have to use another licensed foster home. And what that is considered is a respite home. To be a respite home, you go through the same process of becoming a licensed foster family. The only thing is you only provide babysitting for other foster families. So you might only have kiddos in your house once a month, maybe a week during the summer. A lot of our older population that maybe don't want kids all the time, but they still like kids, they'll become our respite families. You get a stipend just like you do for a foster home. You'll get paid for every day that child, you're babysitting that child. But that way it gives the foster families a break too. I know when I took my nephew in, we were a household of girls, and my girls had a hard time dealing with a boy. What do you mean we got to shut doors when we go to the bathroom? What do you mean I can't, just run and get my pajamas? And when I had people that would take him for the night or for a weekend we could just have a girls' night, foster families need to be a unit also, and sometimes they just need to be a family, together. Those respite homes allow them to get a little break and to do things, on their own. And, vacations, you cover vacations. I know tons of foster families that take their foster kids on vacation with them, but sometimes the judges say no. If there's visits coming up or, reunifications right around the corner, the judges are like, sorry, that kid needs to stay here. Well, then we need a respite home to take those so the foster family still can go on vacation.
Gotcha. So, the stipend, would that help cover the kids' clothes and things like that? Because I'm sure I'm looking at your shirt and you said this should never be a child suitcase, which is just a garbage bag next to a teddy bear. It makes me sad.
This is my nonprofit that I run. We make sure that no child that they get a duffel bag full of new stuff. So that's a goal. But no, foster parents, they get a daily stipend for the time that the child is in their home. They do get a clothing allowance.
I was wondering,
in addition
to that,
okay, because I was like, some kids may come in with nothing, and then what do you?
It happens all the time, and they do get a clothing allowance. We try to set you up with nonprofits. There are nonprofits that work down here.
Yep, we have some organizations that have clothing banks and things like that that have clothing of all sizes and can hook you up.
Yeah, and for shoes especially. Oh my goodness, kids go through shoes like every 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
Here and there, we've gotten some food, some shoe vouchers where kids can get.
Through Families Helping Families out of Cedar Rapids. They work with Kohl's and Kiwanis throughout the state, and once a year, foster children can get a voucher from that $75. So you just have to go to Kohl's, and you can get they can pick out whatever shoes they want.
That's good because, wearing, maybe hand-me-down clothes one thing, but shoes is just, it's hard because, that's, I don't know, it's just having a good pair of shoes, will take you, in the day. So.
Yep. Especially for so up north where my nonprofit is, when I deal with teenagers I give them gift cards and the caseworker takes them shopping. Teenagers especially express themselves so much with clothes and shoes, and it's just like I know my 2 daughters, which are 15 and 20, they couldn't be polar opposite, any more opposite of how they dress, and that's so important for kids to express themselves, and whether that's a pair of Nikes or that's Adidas or that's just because they're a foster kid doesn't mean that they have to settle.
Right.
I would like to go back to the fostering or the licensing piece really quick. So you do have to be 21 years old or 21 or older to be able to be a licensed foster home. And then you also have to have, the state requires 40 square feet per child in your home. So there has to be enough space in the bedrooms for children too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 40 square feet per kid in each bedroom? Okay.
Which is really not that much.
Really
I think it's like a twin
space.
bed.
Yeah,
it's not much space. So I think people hear that too. They're like, oh, I don't got that much. But yeah, and siblings. Now I don't know this, so you're gonna have to help me out. So siblings can stay in the same bedroom.
Once a child turns 5, if they're opposite sex, they have to be moved into separate bedrooms. Under the age of 5. Boys and girls can share a bedroom together.
Okay.
But like I said, once they turn 5, they have to be in 7 bedrooms. Under the age of 2, they can be in a crib in your room or in the master or the couple's bedroom. But once they turn 2, then they need to be moved into a separate bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so 21 years of age does not marry. Your marital status doesn't matter. You don't have to own your own home. That's another kicker. You can rent. You can live in an apartment. You can live in a studio. You can live in a condo.
Trailer.
You can live in a trailer. You can live in a single dwelling home. That I think people. Oh, I don't own my own home or whatever, and that's it doesn't.
Cohabitating. You don't have to be legally married.
Same sex, it doesn't, it's really, you just have to advocate and want to be a loving, supporting, stable person for a child. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. So tell me again the website people go to start the journey.
It's www.iowafosterandadoption.org.
Iowa Foster A&D or
A&D.
Okay.
Adoption.org.
Okay.
And there's different types of license too. She discussed respite. There's a dual license, which is foster and adoption. So that qualifies you to be able to foster and adopt if that child's becomes eligible for adoption. And then there's an adopt-only license. So if you feel like I have young kids and I don't want to get to, they can't get over that getting connected and having that child be reunified. We have a lot of those families, and that's fair. I respect families that are willing and able to acknowledge that. Like that's something I can't work with a birth parent or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
knowing your limitations kind of important.
Knowing your limitations, exactly. I was a long-time licensing worker, and that was my big discussion with the families. It's like, you have to know what you and your family are comfortable with. What are what are your children going to be good? What's going to be a good fit for you? But anyway, so then there's the adoption license, and that is just makes you eligible to adopt a child too. So
okay, and we have not a lot, but we have some. We have a good number of kiddos already in the system. Typically, they're 8 years of age or older, may have some special needs, or may come in a sibling group. But we have kiddos that are eligible. Their parental rights have been terminated already, so they are up for adoption now. So if adoption is something you're really looking at, I encourage you. We've on the website. It's Meet Our Kids, and you can see the kiddos that are in Iowa that are already up for adoption. You also can visit the Dave Thomas Foundation, Wendy's Wonderful Kids, and those are kids across the United States that, again, parental rights have already been terminated, and they're up for adoption. So if adoption is one of those things, if you only want to adopt out of the foster care system and you're looking for a brand new baby, I would encourage you to go to a private adoption agency. If you're going to foster to adopt, you might be able to, foster a younger child and adopt them. But if you're adopt only, so when a child enters foster care, when a child has to leave bio families, there's like a tiered system in which HHS looks for a home for that child. They'll look for relative placement first. So that would be aunt, blood relation, grandma, grandpa. If that can't be found or they're unable to take that child, they'll look for a kinship relationship. That would be someone with a relationship with the child, but no blood relationship. Teacher, para, Sunday school teacher, neighbor. If those cannot be found, that's when they look for that foster parent. And that's when those kids go into foster care. We also have residential care, and that's for some of our kids with some bigger behaviors that need to be taken care of before they can go back into foster care.
Okay.
And that's also where kids that we can't find homes for go as well.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
So
that is
we do
true.
have I feel like that's, yeah.
And adoption goes the same way. So if the child has had their parental rights terminated, the state looks for relative placement first. So aunt, uncle, grandparents, they do not have to live in the state of Iowa. They can live in other states. That's how I got my nephew. He came from Illinois, but I was blood relative, so he came to me. If they can't find that, they'll look for that kinship relationship. Again, or a teacher, para, someone that the child already knows. If they can't, then the foster family that has been fostering that child will have the ability to adopt them. Most of the time, foster parents do adopt those kiddos that have been in their home. However, there are some situations that foster families fall, or they just don't feel like it's a good timing for them to adopt that child. That is when the state will look at those adopt-only homes.
Gotcha.
So it is kind of a tiered system of how that looks and for adoptions and stuff.
Right. Well, especially, I guess, if in the foster care system, the reunification is one of the major goals, then that probably wouldn't happen with a brand new newborn unless there was like a history, maybe, I'm guessing.
For them to
just jump from reunification to, straight
adopting.
Yeah.
No.
And again, that newborn baby would go
Yeah.
Through the
relative
tiers.
placement, kinship, foster. So like to get to an adopt only family, if you're going to adopt through foster care, like I said, it's going to be a child usually 8 years or older, or a child with, some mental, some special needs, whether it's medical or mental, some behavioral needs, or again, in a group, a large group. We've had some adoptive families adopt, maybe a 1, 3, 8, 9-year-old, because it's a sibling group that no one wanted all of them, but we have this adopt family that they want all of them, and so they'll get all of them.
Wow.
So,
That
yeah.
would be amazing. Yeah.
Instant family overnight.
So for younger children, not in school yet, like preschool, younger, is there help with like childcare or formula, things like that?
Yeah, children under the age of 4 are qualify for WIC. So that's, your formula and those, I don't know, I don't remember. It's been a long time for WIC. Is it cheeses and milks
Cheese,
and those
milks,
kind of
and
things, those
eggs
foods?
They
and
actually
things.
have quite a lot of breads and
And
things
all that,
like
yeah.
that.
So they
'Cause
4 and under will qualify automatically for that. And the state will pay the daycare straight. So there's it used to be families had to pay for daycare and then the state would reimburse. And so we're so happy now that Iowa will reimburse that
But
daycare.
it has to be a state approved daycare. It cannot be a private in-home daycare.
Yeah, and we, for some reason, last year, they say like a third of the kids are 0 to 5, a third of the kids are 6 to 12, and a third of the kids are 13 and up. That's how foster care looks like. For some reason, on the eastern Iowa part, we did almost 66% of the kids under the age of 5. We had a lot of little guys. And I know when I've sat in with, and not nearly probably as many as you, but when I go and talk to the graduating class, they at the beginning they want those babies. I want those babies. But we have to remember that daycares won't take infants until they're 6 weeks old. So, and unless you have a very accommodating job, you know, for those newborn babies, you have to have somewhere for those babies to go for 6 weeks. You know, so, and some people that's not a problem, especially if mom stays home or dad stays home. That's great. But that's something to think about if you're looking for an infant, that you make sure that you've got, you know, daycare or set up at least until that 6-week mark when they can go into a licensed daycare.
Gotcha.
I think one of the most challenging placements we have are the teenagers, the older kids, because nobody, you know, everybody wants the cute little babies that are easy.
It's kind of
you
like
know.
puppies.
Yeah.
You want a puppy, you want a dog.
But yeah, they've all experienced trauma. They've all been through a lot, and but yeah, that is a huge need throughout the state. Is teenagers.
But teenagers are helpful.
There
They're
you go,
potty.
right?
They can do a lot. They can throw in laundry for you. They throw, you know, like teenagers, like stay here, and they will stay. You know, like I don't know if I could do little kids anymore. I'm getting older. I'm like teenagers do come with some attitude. I will give you that. But they're helpful. Like I like that I can just kind of dilly up some jobs, and I know that they're going to get home, and if they beat me home, they can eat. They know how to feed themselves. It's a wonderful thing. So I think you have to know what you like to parent and where you're at in life. Is that I'm getting older. I like my sleep. I like my 6 hours straight. I don't know if I could do it anymore. So it's, you know, it's just, but we need homes that can take those teens. But teens are great. Teens are, I mean, they're fun. They're work, but they're fun. Like mine are crazy some days. They keep me on my toes, but they're fun. I mean, just like some of the stuff they say, it's just like, they got the 6-7 thing. Do you have older kids at all?
Yeah, my oldest is 11.
They do this 6-7 thing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
My freshmen and like everything. So I'll be like,
6,
what?
7.
Yeah, I know. What time is it? I don't know, 6-7. And then I told them this morning, I was like, oh, it's only gonna be 67 degrees today. And then 6-7. Like teens are fun. So yeah.
You gotta get all this lingo and the slang.
Right,
I'm not allowed to say some of this stuff because I just like to mess with my kid and mess with him and just say all the things I can string together, and hopefully I'm not cussing in kid slang. I don't know, but he'll look at me, roll his eyes, and he's like, "Mom, you gotta stop." I'm like, "No, skippity."
I'm old now.
Yeah,
And I'll stop him. Like, what was that? What did you just say? Because like some of it sounds horrible. Like, what did you just say to me? But,
yeah. You get out your little phone and say, what chat PG or whatever that thing is.
I work at a junior high. I have to Google a lot of things.
Oh,
I'm sure.
see, and junior high. That's a whole. I would much take it to high school. Junior high was rough. They're just trying to find themselves in
Yes.
junior high. I think by the time they hit high school, they know who they are to a point. Like they know what they like at least. And I think in junior high, they're still just all trying to figure it out.
Yep, trying to figure it out and trying to impress everybody while doing it.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. But again, I could never be a middle school teacher, but boy, I'm from Clinton. We've got some great ones, and I'm like, they know how to talk to them.
I've been stuck in junior high for 20 years.
Oh wow,
I haven't graduated yet. So.
that's funny. Yeah. So yeah, but we appreciate our junior high teachers. I appreciate the high school teachers too, because but they're great. Like I said, my kids are fun, and I went. I couldn't go back.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So there is a need definitely here in Des Moines County.
Huge need,
This reaches Lee County too and Henry County. So Four Oaks. Now are you a social worker with Four Oaks then here?
So I'm a supervisor down here.
Okay.
Yep. So I cover a little bit north of Davenport down to Keokuk. So this is
Oh.
my entire area.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is
Yes.
all okay.
Yep.
And
Before that,
Alyssa?
I was a licensing worker for several years, and this was my area as well. So, and Alyssa is a support caseworker.
Okay,
So
so-
she also helps licensing as well. She likes to get in there and meet our families, and she's a great face for to introduction to foster care. She walks you through things. She's very good at what she does. She does a very thorough job. And then she would, if she's your licensing worker, she would she would stay on as your support worker. So she would just continue to work with you throughout the life of your license. So once you get licensed, the license is good for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that year mark, you can get licensed for another full year. And then after your first 2 full separate years of licensure, it goes to a 2-year license.
Okay.
Yep.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay.
And your license is yours to do what you want with. So you can choose to keep it open. You can choose to be a respite only. If you're like, oh, our kid's moving to college this month and we want to take some time off to just have some family time, we can
Makes
we can
sense.
put you on hold for a month and you can just sit there and spend time with family. Yeah, so your license is very flexible on what you
It
want
is
to do with.
because life happens, you know.
Life happens,
If
and
you
we want,
you lose
your
a
family is
job,
your first priority.
yeah.
And so I always encourage families, this is your license, and we're here to support you along the way, and what can we do to help you? You know what I mean? So.
Nice. Okay. So, you or Alyssa, is there other people
Yes,
in the...
so we have.
They run the whole show.
We used to for
You
a
did,
lot of
yeah,
years.
like-
It was just me and Alyssa. that
and if
covered
I
the
think
whole
down here, I
area.
just think of you two. But yeah, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. We have 3 other caseworkers in addition to Alyssa and I. That
Okay.
and we cover from Muscatine down.
Yeah,
to
you got Marshall, you got Marley,
Samantha.
and Samantha.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I've met you and Alyssa when you were down at
They
Farmers
filled in for me.
Market.
That was so awesome because I had been down here like 4 times that week, and I'm just like, can you guys do the farmers market for me so I don't have to
Oh,
drive
I'm
again?
glad you guys did the
Yeah.
farmers market because I saw it the first time. I'm like, we should have them on.
Yeah.
And then you came back and I'm like, hi,
Yeah.
here's my card.
Yeah, no, we would love. We could come back sometime too. We can bring a foster parent with us, and they can share their experiences.
That would be a
Bring a couple
really
kids.
great idea.
Bring a couple kids with us. Yeah, we always bring foster families with us to our recruitment events. So I love that piece of it because I feel like it gives real practice. And we had Liz with us today, and she's definitely has her own experiences within the foster and adoption community. So yeah, we would love to come back sometime and bring some foster families and just have them share their experiences and what they got into. I love hearing their experiences and just I feel like it lets people know what they're getting into from
Right.
a real life perspective, other than us, workers coming in and telling them.
Well, yeah, because it does. Because there's good and the bad, and I think that has to be shared equally because it's life. There's not
for
always
sure.
rosy. But our foster families are amazing, and we appreciate that. And I get so sad when they adopt and they get full, and then they give up their license, and that always makes me sad. But I get it, but it's really sad when that happens. We've had some for
It's kind of bittersweet.
Well, it is. I mean, it is, and some of our foster families are quite large. I mean, they'll get up
We have
to
a lot of solid, ingrained families down here that have been around forever, and they're just open to bringing people in and sending them on their way when they're ready for that to happen. So it's great.
Nice.
Yes.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you...
I just think my only thing is if you have a business, you have a place of worship, you have a community group, and that would like to hear more, we would be more than happy. I will talk in front of anybody just about our need, and because nobody talks about foster care. It's you don't
want to think about it.
You don't want to think
because-
about it. It's not on TV. It's not on social media. So it's one of those things we have to hit the ground running, and we have to get as many people, because it might be something you might not want to do, but I don't know what your neighbor wants to do, or maybe your sister or sister-in-law that has been thinking about it. They say that you have to hear about foster care 5 to 7 times, and you think about it for 2 to 3 years before you pull the plug. So we have to constantly be in front of people and be like, hey, have you thought about fostering? Have you thought about this? And I get it all the time. Oh, we've been thinking about it. We've been thinking about it. And it's just like, okay, is now that, but it might not be the perfect time, but we just need to make sure. So we will go anywhere and talk to anybody. We do lunch and learns for businesses. I come down and I'll do church services. Not that I host the whole church service, but I'll come in and talk in front of no, I don't do that, but I'll talk in front of the congregation at least. But yeah, if you got community events going on and we just don't know about it, we can have a resource table invite us. The farmers market was brought up at the beginning of the summer. I did one farmers market, I think end of June, beginning of July I was down here, and then I had the second date, and they were nice enough to do the second date for me.
I always tell families that are hesitant to jump on board full speed, just start the process just being respite only, and get your feet wet. Just feel it out. See if it's going to be a good fit for you, and then
especially if there's typically one spouse that wants to do it way more than the other spouse.
So one's just dragged into it.
So respite's a good way just to get your feet wet and just to see, because it's typically, I think it's typically the mom that's got the heartstrings pulled that this is something they want to do, and dads just kind of go along for the ride. But respite's a great way just to feel that out. And again, a lot of our new parents that just don't have children in the home. It's different to have kids and pitter patter and noises and stuff. So respite's a great way to start that.
Yep. So we are really ramping up. Like Liz has been doing a lot of community events here recently. I've been doing some recruitment events myself as well. We're just really hitting the area hard because there's just such a need. So I know that we have some recruitment events coming up in the next few months. We're going to hit up Lee County. We're going to try to get Henry County. We just did, like I said, Des Moines a couple weeks ago. Liz has been all everywhere.
I've been,
we're just hitting the entire southeast corner of the state here just to get the word out, awareness.
So, Des Moines County, Lee County, and Henry County all have something called an interagency group.
Yep.
Are you part of
On
those?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's our CPPC. Yeah,
Oh,
on
wait.
it.
Are you in the one in Des Moines? 'Cause-
I've probably seen you there. Are you on it?
yes.
Yeah, you've probably seen me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm a part of all of them through the whole Eastern. Sometimes I forget which is which one and what faces
I'll
belong
have-
to me. Like, oh hi you know. But yeah, as long as I don't
Do
have
you
like,
zoom into it?
oh
then?
yeah, because there's
Okay.
no way I can drive down here just for that. I mean,
okay.
but yeah.
Because you kind of looked familiar. I'm like,
Oh, there you go. See,
wonder.
I'm doing my job. Yay me. But it is, and
Okay.
I try to get on as many as I can.
Okay.
But if I've got a prior engagement or something
Right,
like that,
right.
and I don't like to do them if I'm driving. So,
yeah. I've done. Okay, stop. I should have stopped. I shouldn't have been driving.
Did it once.
I know.
That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like,
you just
yeah.
can't do it.
And it wasn't for her job.
no, it was a Bible study. I was zooming in while I was driving, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Sometimes
okay.
I'll listen. I mean, I can listen in on those things, but don't ask me to talk to them.
Yeah.
And those interagencies, you need to talk because you need to present your agency and what you're doing if you've got anything going, or especially getting connected. I'm from Clinton, so it is hard to know every community and what's going on. And that's the hard part is like, usually if I hear about an event, it's too late for me to join the event. So it's just getting that heads up of, hey, we're doing this as a community.
That's what those interagency meetings are great for, because there's just every nonprofit that has something to do is a lot of them have representation, so you know what's going on and how you can team up, because there is no way that one nonprofit can do everything that they want to do for the people that they're reaching. It is a network, and we are working together. So
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and getting our families the help that they need, no matter if
yeah.
they're foster or just regular families, because there's always need. And and if you've got a program that someone else needs to hear about, that those agencies, that's what those meetings are great for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm very excited that you guys came.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to having you guys back with a foster family in here, because I think that would be a really great, that is just a really great idea, because, people that are actually doing it is, can kind of help inspire people who are thinking about it or on the fence about it and things like that. So
Yes, we have some great foster families, so I would definitely love to do that.
I could think of a couple that would.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because usually our foster families want to share.
Yeah.
They want their village to grow, because it helps them too.
right.
Whether it's respite or just we do we got Operation Santa coming up in December. So that's a big thing. We'll have tons of wish lists for the community to grab and buy for a foster kid that's already in the system. But we do we have a appreciation event in the fall or in the summer. So we've got we try to do other things too that our foster families can get together and get to know each other.
Nice.
And I would encourage, just, I don't know, final word here. If you don't feel like foster care is something that you can personally do or your family can personally do, I would highly encourage you just to talk to the people around you. Just encourage the foster families that you do know, be a support to them, and just spread the word. Give them my number, tell them my name, give them her name.
I was gonna say,
we are more than happy to talk to anybody, answer any questions. I feel like I've been getting a lot of calls recently, and I love it. But yeah, share the word. Share information.
Yeah, my world is foster care. Between my job and then my nonprofit, I do everything when it comes to that, because I don't care what time it is. People always reach out to me on Facebook and stuff like, hey, I need this, and it's okay. That's what that's what we're here for.
Is Four Oaks on Facebook?
Yes.
Four Oaks is on Facebook.
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, there's no stupid questions.
No.
If you have questions about the licensing process in depth, that's my area of expertise. I'd be happy to talk to you about what it takes to get licensed, and specifically anyways, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome.
Very cool.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having us.
This is
and letting
fun.
us
Oh, I am so glad you guys came. And I think that will do it for this edition of the King Kong Trail, Southeast Iowa, Des Moines, Lee, Henry counties, and I guess every 99 county.
Loiza's down here too, isn't it? Did you go there?
Oh, yeah, Louisa. Yeah. So if you're in the sound of my voice, there is a need, and we will put up the website for Four Oaks Foster and Adoption. And I want to thank our guests Liz and Kami for coming on, and look for them at farmers markets and different events. And if you have questions or just curious, going up and just ask them some questions. So thank you guys very much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.